All right, now let's talk about the housing renewal timeline. So, obviously, it opened on the 2nd. The intent to renew form should be available in your housing portal. Again, if you do not see it in your housing portal, please reach out to us. And random selection for offers to renew occur from now until February 9th. Then, once we get into February 11th, selected students are notified. So you are given the opportunity to apply. And another good thing to note is that Residence Life, our residence and education department, so RED, will host programming to meet potential roommates. So if you are wanting to renew, but you don't necessarily have somebody in mind to room with, keep an eye out for this. Ask your RA about it, or your AC or CC that are usually down by your service center, and they can give you all of the information. You'll really want to, one other thing I want to call out that I kind of skipped over, you're going to want to fill out the intent to renew form in your housing portal, like I said, up until now, until the 9th, because then it will close and you won't have the option anymore. So definitely make sure if you're interested in living with us again, you complete that form. So like I said, Red will host programming to meet potential roommates. Then we move on to February 16th through the
Can I
23rd.
can I hop in for just a second, Aaron? One thing I do just want to bring to everyone's attention is that the intent to renew form, it's very low commitment. So what I would recommend to everybody here, if you're still on the fence about whether you want to live in university housing next year, I would highly recommend at least going onto the portal and completing that intent to renew. It's about 2 questions and it does not cost money to complete that. It's not an application. It basically just gives us an idea of how many people might be interested and might need housing. So if you think you might need housing or if you think you might want to stay with us, please complete that. And then when it comes time for us to extend offers to apply, if you decide you don't want it, all you have to do is not apply. And you're not out any money, just a couple minutes of your time. So please go do that intent to renew form if you're thinking about it.
I also stopped sharing my screen. Richard, I was wondering if you could pull up the PowerPoint. He's much more tech savvy than me, and he was running a little late to hop on. So we'll let him share his screen so it looks a little bit more aesthetic for us here. But yeah, all great points. And again, like I keep mentioning, definitely reach out to us if you have any questions. That's what our call center is there for, our chat bot, our email, phone, or stop by our office in Marion Spencer. If you go in by on the green, the dining center, and go up to the first floor through the elevator, that's where we're at, and we would love to answer any and all questions for you. Also, Richard had called out to definitely use the Q&A function. I know that I had said that at the beginning, but do put your questions in there and we can answer those as we're kind of going through. Like I said, we're going to go through the very short PowerPoint and then we're going to walk through the website. I believe Richard's going to do that for us just to kind of show you where to navigate things because we're talking about a lot of QR codes and websites and, oh, this priority order list and things like that. And you're probably wondering where to find all of those things. So we'll definitely take you through the website so that you can get a firsthand look. All right, so next slide.
So, Aaron, where we left off, you were about to go over the 16th through 23rd.
Yep. So, like I said, 16th through 23rd, selected students may complete the renewal application. Any students not selected to apply are automatically added to the wait list. So during this time frame, if you were notified February 11th or after that you are offered to apply for housing for the next academic year, right, with the renewal, this would be the time that you are sent an email and given instructions on how to complete that application. You will also then get another email or communication, something about room selection that will occur then from the 23rd through the 27th. So again, going back to that February 11th timeline, if you have someone in mind for a roommate group pairing, great. If you don't have someone, also great. But if you want to meet someone, definitely reach out to your RED partners in your building, and they can let you know what's going on so that you can meet someone. Anything about the timeline, Richard, that you have to add?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Cool. All right, so renewal next steps. So we kind of just went through this on the other slide in the timeline form, but I'll go through it one more time. And again, please utilize that Q&A function if you have questions, and it's all on our website as well. So February 2nd through the 9th, complete the intent to renew form in the housing portal. Again, that's the period that we're in right now. It only lasts till the 9th, so make sure that you go into your housing portal. It's exactly the portal that you use to apply as a freshman student. So definitely go in there, complete that. As Richard mentioned, very low commitment. It's really just for us to gauge interest. Then February 16th through the 23rd, if selected from intent to renew pool, the application will open. You'll complete general information, pay application fee, create a roommate profile, create a roommate group. One thing to note, here in university housing, you need to complete your application and also pay the fee in order for it to be considered complete. So if you don't hit that step, especially the fee, the paywall to pay for your application, right, definitely make sure that you reach out to us, because we won't see on our end that your application is complete. We want to make sure that it is. Reminder that the create a roommate profile and create a roommate group are optional. So again, if you want to meet someone or if you have someone in mind, great. If not, also great. Then lastly, February 23rd through the 27th, applicants, may sign into the housing portal and select from available spaces. So one other thing to call out, as a first year student, we assign you your bed space. But as a renewal student, you do get to select your room space. So definitely, as you're going through the website and you're looking at those spaces, as I called out earlier with that QR code, really think about where you want to go and have a couple options in mind, so that if you do get into the portal and you make it to that step, right, you have a couple options and a couple places that you know that you want to live, whether it's with someone random, a random roommate, which could be fun, right, or somebody you have in mind. Keep in mind, specific timelines are subject to change and will be posted on our website. Again, we're going to go through that next, so we'll definitely make sure that you guys know exactly where to find those. But if something within the renewal process changes, let's say, we have another weather situation like we did last week or something like that, we'll definitely be emailing all of you, so you won't go unnotified. But just wanted to call that out.
So, Aaron, we do have our first question in the
Yeah.
Q&A. It is, if I have a co-op for the fall, is it possible to get university housing for only the spring semester? So, thank you for that question. The short answer is yes, absolutely. In order to get housing for just the spring semester, that is actually a separate application process, and that usually goes live in the fall. I believe in October. So really, right now, you don't have anything that you need to be doing to get spring housing. What you would do is, if you're still interested in housing for maybe the spring 27 semester, when we get here into the fall semester, give us a call. And our application will likely be going live in October. We can give you more information for how to complete that application. Um, the next question that we have is there anything we can do if we're not selected on the 11th? So that's a great question. Thank you for putting that in the chat. Really, the one thing that you would do at that point if you're not selected is just sit tight for just a minute. We want to make sure that everybody is getting the chance to like submit their applications. One thing I do want to highlight is that everyone who's expressed interest in upper class housing over the last 3 years, we've offered to everybody the opportunity to stay in upper class housing. So even though it could be a little disappointing to not get the offer to apply on the 11th, I promise you we will get to you. Just bear with us as we work through our list. The next question we have is, me and my 3 other roommates want to house together. Is that possible? Yes, it is absolutely possible. Like Aaron was talking about, you will be selecting your space. So that is one of the very nice things about our upper class program is you get to pick where you're going to live. And so what That would look like is you could create a roommate group with your with one friend. Your other two friends could create a roommate group, and then you just go in on selection day, pick the same apartment, and then you're living together. So, yep, you can absolutely live together. I have co-op in the spring semester, so I'll need housing in the fall. Is there anything additional that I need to do? That is a great question. So what you would do is you would participate in our application process that's going on right now. So you would want to complete the intent to renew form, and then when we're in the fall semester, what you would do is usually we send out messaging to all of our students, say like, hey, if your plans have changed and you're not going to be here in the spring semester, let us know. And one of the reasons why we essentially like almost no questions asked. We have like one question, but one of the reasons why we let people out of their academic year housing contracts is if you have a co-op. UC is well known for their co-op program, and we're supportive of all of our students who are going on co-ops. So if you have a co-op in the spring, basically what all we need you to do is send us your offer letter for your co-op position, and then we cancel out your spring semester for the academic year contract. So it's very easy to do. Um, and yeah, that's all really all there is to it. Aaron, did I get to all of them? I thought I might have seen one other one, but did I
Yeah, I
answer?
answered a couple
Okay.
with written responses,
Okay, perfect.
but yeah,
Okay.
I think we got
Well,
all of
great questions, everyone. Keep them coming. So, uh, Aaron mentioned that we have a very, our slides are very brief. So
them.
that is the end of our presentation. What I want to do now is I want to show you all where you can find information for yourselves if you do have questions after we end this webinar. So the first thing that you'll want to do is you'll want to go to the housing website. So the easiest way to find it is I always just Google UC housing. It's usually the first result that comes up, and then it takes you right to our homepage. Now, where most of the information lives that you would want for this process is here under apply. We have this upper class and transfer housing option. So what you would do is you would click on that, and then here we have all of the information that we just went over. So we've got information about roommates. We've got information about like how we offer to people and in what order, how the wait list works, and then all of the dates that Aaron just reviewed with everybody, and like what happens when, things like that. That is all right here on this page as well. So, one uh, thing I will note is that after we end our webinar today, we will work to get the recording of this webinar posted on the site. What you're seeing here now is last year's webinar. So, as of this moment, this recording is out of date, so we'll get that replaced. And then if you want to come back and revisit the recording, if you want to review something that we talked about, it'll live here on this page as well. um, the another place that we have a lot of helpful information is here under apply. We have how-to videos. Under this page, we basically have a walkthrough of the entire application process. So if you have questions about what it looks like to submit your application or what information do I put on this page, it's not super clear to me, you have a couple of different options. You can review the videos on this page and it'll basically just explain it to you, or you can always ask our chat bot here, which is always available in the bottom right corner, or feel free to give us an email or a call, and we're happy to clear things up. But everything that Aaron talked about up through agreeing to the terms and conditions and paying the application fee, that is in part one. It's a two-part series, basically. Those are all your required steps that you need to complete to have a finished application. Everything after that is what we would consider our optional steps that Aaron talked about. So, roommate profiles, things like that, meal plans if you're interested in having one again next year. That's where this is the video where it explains what those look like. We have other videos that explain how to create roommate groups, join roommate groups, things like that. And then this is later on into the summer, but when it comes time to schedule move-in appointments, this is where you can find that. So. I see a question in the chat. Will there be more housing options for apartment style? So, I'll show you where you can find what the communities are. It's right here under the main apply page. If you click on this and just scroll down to our available communities, here is where you can find our anticipated breakdown of what communities will be available for what students. So you'll see here we have the drop down for all of the what we expect to be our first year communities. Here we have what we expect to be our upper class communities. So you'll see that a couple of our current apartment complexes that we lease from some local property management companies, we will not be partnering with next year again. So that includes CP Cincy, Jefferson House, and the Union. Those will not be available to live in next year. But what is becoming available is Gateway Lofts. We only have, I believe, some athletes there right now, but that will be more widely available to students next year. And then also we have an agreement to have students live in the Verge as well. So those are the new communities. As always, we'll have UPA available, Bellevue Gardens, and 101 Corey. Um, if I get selected on the 11th, what would be the deadline to apply? So let's go back to our upper class housing page. Again, like I said, it's got our timeline here. So here's where you could see it. So we expect to send offers to apply on the 11th, and then our application will be open for everyone who gets an initial offer for 1 week. So once you get your offer on the 16th, you will have until the 23rd at noon to complete your application. The reason why we give you only a week to do the application is for the people who are not getting that initial offer on the 11th. We really want to keep the process moving so that no one's waiting in like a limbo status. If you don't want to apply, that's totally fine. You just don't have to. And then essentially we consider the offer to apply rescinded, and then we offer that bed space to someone who's currently waiting to receive an offer. So that's kind of how it works. Every time we offer somebody the chance to apply, they have a week, and that way we can kind of keep it moving and keep our offers flowing. Great question. And then where on the housing page can we find the intent form? So that's a great question as well. You can find the intent form in the housing portal. So on the upper on actually on most of our apply pages, you'll find links to our housing portal. Where you'll want to go is you'll want to go to that housing portal, and then up here in the top left, or you can click on your SSO login down here. You'll want to log into the portal. So let's do that really quick. Do your duo. We'll see if it asks me. No, great. And then you would click here on apply, and then you will want to select academic year 26-27, and it will automatically take you to like the just couple questions to indicate whether like um, you'd like to complete or indicate your intent to live in our program again next year. So once you've done that, it's just a couple questions. You may be, to be honest, a little unclear. Is like, is that it? Is that all I have to do to like do this? Yes, it's very, very short. So once you've done that, you're good to go, and then we'll extend offers at the following week, starting on the 11th. Even if you don't receive an offer, we don't want anyone to be at all unclear of where they stand in our process. So we will be notifying everyone who completes the intent to renew process of their status. So whether you are receiving an offer to apply immediately, or if we're just asking you to sit tight for a minute while we kind of cycle through these offers, you will know where you stand. And if, as always, you do have any questions, you are more than welcome to reach out to us and ask us any questions. Let's see here. Another question in the chat. Okay, so for a part, oh, you might have got that answered in
I,
text. So.
Richard,
Just
had a very good question about if you select Verge or Gateway Lofts or another one of our communities that we partner with, are you technically signing a lease with them or with us? If you select that through the room or through the intent to renew and the room selection and all of these steps, right? You're still living in university housing, so you're still yeah, you're still basically signing a lease with us, right? Your housing agreement with UC. Obviously, if you didn't go through us and you reached out to that property directly, that would be when you signed a lease with the property directly and not through us. But yes,
yeah, most of these properties we've leased in their entirety. I don't the Gateway I'm unsure about, but I do believe we have all of the Verge.
correct.
Um, so uh if you want to live in the Verge, you to live there you would have to like complete our application, and that's the case for 101 Corey, University Park Apartments, and those other communities that we talked about. So we've essentially leased the whole community. So really, as long as you complete our application and then select in our process, hey, I want to live in this building, you're good to go. You don't have to do anything with the community or the property themselves. It's all through us. Great question. Why does it say I haven't signed a contract is a question that we got in the chat. So just to I mentioned this a little bit earlier at the very beginning, but completing the intent to renew is not the contract. It's not an application. It's really just letting us know, hey, I might be interested in living in housing again for the 26-27 academic year. So by completing the intent to renew form, you're just saying, hey, I'm interested. It is not an agreement. It is not a contract. If you are offered the chance to apply at that point, you would go in, you would agree to the terms and conditions, and you would pay that application fee. That is when your contract would be considered complete. If we did the form correctly, will we receive an email? I actually don't remember. Aaron, do you remember if they get an email?
I don't believe it sends you an email, but you should be able to log back in, like refresh the page within your housing portal, and it will tell you that you completed it. If for some reason you're not seeing either of those things, you're not getting an email, you're not seeing confirmation, and you're still curious, definitely reach out to us via our front desk. Like I said, the chat bot, the email, our phone, and we can confirm that really easily for you.
Great. Thanks, Aaron. Well, that is everything that I planned on going over with everyone. I've shown you where to find some things on the website. I've shown you how to find the housing portal. Um, right now, I mean, if anybody has any questions that we haven't answered, please feel free to bring those up in the Q&A, and we are happy to get those answered. Yes, that sounds great. Yeah, just give us a call tomorrow. We're happy to look at your account and make sure you're good to go. Is selection of the buildings first come, first serve, like whoever sends their application in first? Um, the short answer to that is kind of. Basically, whenever we do application offers, you'll want to complete the application, but we'll assign people room selection time slots. So once you have your time slot, you would just go in and you can select your room at the time and date that we give you. Aaron, do you mind answering this question for me?
Sorry. So it says if I did the renew status application, so the intent to renew, and it says I've been added to the list, do I just wait for next steps? Yes, you just wait for next steps. Like I said, when the next portion of the process comes along and we start offering students to complete the housing application, you'll get an email sent to you, and it'll also offer that within your housing portal. So just keep looking at your email. And if for any reason you want an update or you have questions about, maybe why you haven't received communication, like I said, reach out to us. We'd be happy to help and look at your account. Well, these are all very good questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we email
So he
housing
just,
to confirm whether the intent form has been filled? Yes, you absolutely can. You can email us, you can call us. We also offer instant messaging during our business
Mhm.
hours, so feel free to use that to access it on our housing pages. You just click on the chat bot in that bottom right corner, like I said. And if we have some agents online, you can just IM them and they can look it up for you.
Yep, when in doubt, definitely reach out to us. That's
Mhm.
what we're here for.
Yep. Well, Aaron and I will stick around for a little bit to answer any other lingering questions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording here and I'm going to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Um, Again, if you have any questions, let us know. And if you think of them after we've ended this call, call us and email us, and we're happy to help. But otherwise, have a good night, everybody.
Yeah. And thanks for your patience, everyone, with our bumpy start. Like I said, we were waiting on Richard, our tech wizard, to join. So have a great evening.